Thank you for that introduction. Before I begin, I'd just like to say that what our Wing Commander Pendlebury talked about before the break actually really complements what I'm going to be talking about today. When I was first invited to speak at this seminar a few weeks ago, I actually felt quite apprehensive. I wondered what value I could add, what contribution I could make, given my limited interaction with and knowledge of the wider Air Force. So I've chosen to speak about something that I feel both passionate and qualified talking about: inspiring excellence in junior officers through improving some aspects of ADFA culture. I'm going to begin by presenting an overview of my background, as this, along with the takeaways I had from a recent address by General Campbell, provide the context behind my thoughts. Then I'll be discussing why I believe inspiring excellence in junior officers is critical before I present my personal views on aspects of ADFA culture that can be improved. These views stem from my past experiences, as well as observations by and discussions between myself and some of my peers. I was born and raised in Perth, where I attended a very small, tight-knit and multicultural primary school with a considerable immigrant population. I spent the majority of my childhood immersed in reading and learning the piano and violin. I attended an academic selective high school, which, like here, required a selection process. My peers and I were quickly and organically socialised into a strong existing culture of the school, one that really pushed you to excel academically. It was a competitive and stressful environment, but effective because we all banded together to motivate, support, and push one another to achieve more and perform better. We all had our personal goals to reach, so we worked as a team to build each other up, because if any one of us underperformed, all of us would suffer from adverse moderation and scaling, which would negatively affect our ATARs. My spare time during high school was split between Air Force cadets, music ensembles, and teaching piano. When I decided to join the Royal Australian Air Force, you could say that I was going against the status quo, in that joining Defence was not a really expected or normal career option for someone with my background and experience. However, I persevered and defended my position because I wanted to serve my country, was attracted to the job, and believed that Defence could offer me a rewarding, challenging, and unique career. As I previously mentioned, we were addressed by General Campbell recently, and his address, equal parts memorable and valuable, prompted me to reflect upon not only ADFA's motto, to lead, to excel, and the purpose of our time here, but also the significance of our profession and what is potentially at stake. Whilst the time spent here is valuable to all, it is especially pertinent to Air Force officer cadets like me who will not receive additional training at NEOC or RMC. Our time at ADFA is all we have to properly prepare and develop into competent junior officers ready for the Royal Australian Air Force. The majority of us here are young, and many straight out of high school. We are limited in experience, lacking in maturity, and for the most part, still struggling to find our feet in adulthood. Yet because we chose to serve in the profession of arms, and as officers at that, we automatically have to shoulder a responsibility different from the rest. I draw on a speech Professor Michael Evans presented at a squadron dining-in night to ADFA cadets called On Resilience. He asserts that the ultimate purpose of any professional fighting force is the application of violence by mastery of arms, and it is for the road of warfighting that we train and educate you, for no one else in our society is invested with this legal responsibility. Most significantly, we hold the warrant to kill, and equally offer and accept the unlimited liability that one day we may be required to sacrifice our lives in order to fulfill our responsibility. And this responsibility is one that is heavier than most, because it involves lives, and not just the lives of our enemies, but also the lives of our mates and the lives of civilians. So we have to ensure that we try our best, because the potential repercussions of our mistakes are far too severe. As junior officers, we'll be responsible for and have a degree of influence over those we lead. We'll form part of the capability that Air Force offers, so our actions and decisions will have consequences. And that is why it is crucial for us to use our time at ADFA effectively and champion the motto to lead to excel, so that once we graduate, we are ready to perform our role and fulfill our responsibility. And because of the nature of the profession we chose, we should all feel the pressing need to excel at ADFA, because we are in training to perform a job that directly relates to the taking of lives and the security of our country. It is often easy to lose sight of the purpose of ADVA and become caught up with surviving rather than excelling when trying to balance academics, JMET and inspections with fitness and sports, a social life and personal time. This is why developing a culture that encourages excellence is so important, to transform striving for excellence from a chore to a norm. I don't believe that it's unfair for me to say that there's a degree of lethargy towards academic studies for a considerable proportion of trainee officers here at ADVA. But the significance of striving to excel is not just related to achieving good results, and more importantly, should not be dismissed as just some people being more naturally book smart than others. The significance lies in the attitude towards learning and the willingness to devote time and effort. One of my lecturers said that she believes that what we get out of our degree is directly corresponded to what we put in. Putting in the minimum effort to pass our degree will get us our degree, but would that have been the most efficient and effective use of our time and resources? By possessing a positive attitude, developing a strong work ethic, and consistently working hard and smart to the best of our ability for every task we receive, striving to excel becomes a habit. If we work to develop this habit during our time here, it will become something invaluable that we can bring with us into the future. Change rarely happens overnight, and people are rarely able to immediately transform themselves. Development and improvement takes constant, conscious effort and is a journey that we should begin at ADVA. I'm inspired by the culture of my high school and hope that ADVA can develop its own variation of it. We all have or should have a goal: to become competent junior officers, assets to our service. And by developing a culture that strives to excel, where people push each other to the best they can in every facet, not just in academics, but also in JMET, in PT, in PME and more, we build a team that works to bring each other up so that we can all achieve our goals. In the end, we are all working for the overarching objectives of our organisation, and the Royal Australian Air Force and wider Defence Force can only perform its best if everyone in the team is working, striving and encouraging one another to become the best that they can be. To kickstart this culture that strives for excellence, Chris here suggested that the most effective method would probably be to bring together a group of trainee officers within the Academy that are self-aware, possess a thirst for improvement and a strong work ethic. As they develop and achieve while supporting one another, they will inspire those around them, and this culture will then hopefully proliferate throughout the rest of the Academy. And by no means am I trying to suggest that we should be dedicating every waking moment of our lives to our academics, to JMET or to PME, because that's unrealistic, ineffective and an unfair demand. I'm simply arguing that we should be doing everything we can within our ability, working hard when it's time to work so that we can play hard when it's time to play. The staff here also have the ability to inspire meaningful change. From my background, it is probably quite evident that the ventures I dedicated my efforts in growing up differ from that of a typical trainee officer. Whilst the Air Force especially is achieving its goals with regard to recruiting for a diverse workforce, I believe that perhaps we're not doing everything we can to preserve that diversity. I believe that the importance of diversification lies not only in opening up the pool of people Defence can choose from to recruit the highest calibre of people, but also in employing Australians from all different walks of life, who can bring with them different thoughts, perspectives and experiences, because that is what will give us an edge when battling in the increasingly complex global arena of today, where we have to consider all our options, all the possibilities and use every tool in our possession to succeed. So if the training that we put our new recruits through is not tailored to the modernising workforce and its changing demographic, if the staff are not consciously trying to help not only those who fit the traditional model of a good training officer to thrive, but also those who are different, we risk underutilising a capability we possess or producing cookie-cutter mould officers that have lost much of their distinctiveness and what made them such a valuable contribution to the workforce in the first place. Perhaps we need to try and level out the playing field. Sometimes those who are most easily seen are the ones given praise, even though there are many others who deserve it too. If achievements in all arenas could be recognised and valued more equally, then perhaps Defence will be able to attract, retain and see thrive an even larger proportion of people. The diversifying workforce that Defence is trying to recruit will bring with them differing views, values and motivations, and these need to be understood for their worth to shine. Inspiring excellence in junior officers should start here, at ADFA with the support of a culture that encourages excellence and values diversity. And I leave with you a quote by Dwayne Johnson: "Success isn't always about greatness, it's about consistency. Consistent hard work leads to success. Greatness will come." Thank you.